Lake Health and Wellbeing is gearing up to launch an educational video series on health policy change. Joining us now to share some insight into this new initiative are Dentricia Blanchette, Advocacy Consultant for Lake Health and Wellbeing, and Latoya Matthew Duncan, the Nutrition Surveillance Coordinator at the Health Promotion Unit of the Ministry of Health. Good morning, ladies. Our pleasure to welcome you back to Good Morning SKN, and welcome to Good Morning SKN.
Thank you so much. We're excited to be here.
All righty. So, ladies, can I have a summary of what this campaign is about?
Well, as you mentioned, we've been championing healthy living for quite some time, but advocacy work does not end with good activities, right? We have to enforce and implement some policies to help the general public. So now we're at that stage where we're educating the public about what health policies can look like on St. Kitts. And we're doing that through Instagram, social media, where persons are. It's a 4-part series where we're going to look at the benefits, how can our government implement some options, because it has been done in other countries. And we're also going to look at, and that's where Latoya comes in, some things that persons can do to take care of themselves, because it's not only about policy change, we have a personal responsibility as well. So it's short and sweet, because you know these social media reels are short, 90 seconds, but it's power packed with information to get the wheels in your mind rolling about health policies on St. Kitts. What can that look like?
All right, so I would imagine that your target audience is the general public. Correct me if I'm wrong. Anybody, any age.
So absolutely. So it is for everyone. And we've made sure that we've broken it down so persons can understand. Because when we think about policies and taxes, we think money, we think only it applies to adults. But these health policies impact all of us. So it impacts children as well, because we know that there is childhood obesity. That's a huge problem across the Caribbean, even here on the island. And then the adults, the business owners, because it's going to impact how they operate. And then just the ordinary folk, the more mature generation that may be thinking about health more than us who are a bit younger. So it impacts everyone. So it's not age specific. So it gives you the information to think about, you know, I'm a child and there's a policy that is in place. What does that mean for me when I go to school? I'm an adult. What does that mean for me when I go to shop? I'm an older person. What does that mean for me when my caretaker has to buy something or when they're preparing something for me?
Very good considerations.
And Latoya, how does the Ministry of Health play a role in this?
Well, the Ministry of Health for years partnering with Lake Health and Wellness with many health initiatives, and we are extremely excited to get an NGO partnering with us, because for several years and even for decades, the Ministry of Health, as well as various government ministries or government organizations, we have been promoting for the use of, for the assistance of the general public and NGOs, because health is not solely based on the Ministry of Health or the government themselves, but it's also the public responsibility, it's a family responsibility, it's a community responsibility, it's an individual responsibility. So we are extremely excited to have an NGO like Lake Wellness to partner with on health policies.
It almost sounds like you're happy to share the burden.
Oh, of course. Excited.
But it is a burden because, you know, there is an NCD crisis. We can't run away from that. A non-communicable disease crisis on St. Kitts. Like the latest results, 80% of deaths are caused by disease that we can, if we take action with our lifestyle, we can prevent the cancers, diabetes, the complications. And so that 80% is too high. And so we're happy to, it's a burden for the Ministry of Health and the government and the health entities, but we're happy to be a voice to address this crisis that's killing us, literally.
Yes, and in several other Caribbean countries, because these problems are not just unique to St. Kitts and Nevis. In several other countries, they have had successful stories after partnering with NGOs. We do have various countries such as Barbados have quite a bit of health NGOs that are actually taking on, like you said, the burden of health and actually getting a lot of good practices, real good results, getting the attention from the public. And so this is what we really need. It's a burden, NCDs, and we really need everybody on board to assist with this.
Can I just be specific when I'm speaking about health policies? So there are different health policies, right? We know about alcohol, taxes, and things like that. But when we think about sugar and sweet beverages, we're really advocating for a sugar sweetened beverage tax or a levy. So that means that we're advocating for implementing just a higher cost on the sweetened drinks and the foods that aren't so healthy, so that you would be compelled to buy the more affordable options, which would be the healthier options.
I need to ask you, that cost, how much higher are we talking?
So it depends, and that's where the Ministry of Health would come in, because they're doing their focus groups, they're doing their connections with PAHO, they're dealing with the World Health Organization to make sure that the cost of living for St. Kitts, that is taken into consideration when they're implementing that levy. And then we are also advocating for front of package warning labels. So that means when you go to the store, we want to see on a drink high in sugar, high in fats, so that you're not going to be looking at the ingredients when you're shopping, right? So when you see that at the front, it's going to be like, hold up, should I buy this? You're going to think twice to really purchase it. And so when you think about those two things that we are advocating for, you really think that it's a culture shift. Yes, it impacts a lot. Because that impacts the vendors, the store owners, how we shop, right? And how we engage with food when we're in the stores, and so it's important for us. That's why we're doing this series, to educate persons about the benefits. Because when I think about tax, sometimes I just think money. But it's more than a financial cost. It's really about driving behavioral change. And St. Kitts, we want St. Kitts and Nevis to be on board, because Bermuda, Barbados, as Latoya would have shared, Grenada just a few months ago have implemented these. Mexico has led the way, and we want St. Kitts to be on that progressive train with all of these islands that are saying with their actions that the health of the country is important.
Yes.
So with the SSBs, how has the business community responded to this form of advocacy? Because they are going to lose money, as we would know, because people may not purchase these drinks anymore. How have they responded to this?
So before we came here to speak about educating the public, we've advocated and we've communicated with the cabinet, with the government. We've also had communication with the business community, and it's been tough, right? It's tough, and we are having those honest conversations. I know that previously, earlier, before I entered the consultancy space, that those conversations took place, and some good feedback came in that we have taken to the Ministry of Health to consider, because we want all of the voices, their concerns, very real, to be brought to the fore when we're speaking with PAHO and the others to determine what that can look like for St. Kitts. So they've been honest, as you can imagine, but we haven't shied away from them giving us their direct feedback. And we want persons, when they look at the series, whatever space you find yourself in, let us know in the comments, in the DMs, because we capture those and we pass that on, because that's real information from a real person. That's just not our thoughts and feelings. That information matters when we see it in writing.
And additionally, we have also been looking at the countries who have already implemented it and trying to find the best possible solution, shall I say, the way forward for St. Kitts and Nevis, by looking at our sister countries and determining how can we avoid certain mistakes. Because when you look at front of package labeling, you're looking at consumer health, you're looking at health literacy, and this is some of the things that persons tend to have doubts when it comes to St. Kitts and Nevis. But something like the front of package packaging label would actually put a big, create a large awareness campaign without actually having to go to the general public so much to say, well, this is what it is, this is what it is. Persons know what SALT is, persons know what SUGA are. So once you see it in front there, you either see it in red, or you see high, or you see low, you know what it means to be high, you know what it means to be low. So this would definitely help a lot with what the NGOs have been doing, as well as the Ministry of Health and other partnering ministries.
All right, so you mentioned doubt. So it seems as though you've decided on this simple front of label packaging to allay those doubts, to allay those fears, or were there other doubts that came to the fore?
Well, there are always doubts when it comes to implementing health initiatives. You will always have the persons who are the yay and the nay. You'll always have the trained section and the non-trained section. But this is actually a global initiative. And so most countries, in order to really get this moving forward, it would have to be, what shall I say? It have to be a team effort. You know, when I say team, I'm not only speaking in St. Kitts and Nevis, but also with the rest of the country. Globally, the other countries, what they are looking for, because the front of packaging label, you have multiple versions of it. So currently, they are trying to find the best possible one in order to help consumers to choose healthy. Because the thing with food selection, other persons tend to forget that persons do have a choice. And at the end of the day, it's up to that individual to determine what they are going to eat, what they are going to consume, what they are going to purchase. And so we are trying to empower them in two ways to determine whether or not, if I decide that I want to eat something high in fat, I know it's high in fat, so I'm going to purchase that. However, I'm trying to be a little bit more health conscious, a little bit more health oriented, so I want to purchase something that says low in sugar. So we are empowering individuals in both ways. We are empowering them to make a choice.
That's good, that's good.
The health policy on restricting the marketing of SSBs to young children. Let's talk about that. How's that been received?
So, you know, children are so impressionable. And we've seen a lot of ads. We've seen really great success stories in Mexico where they have they've done healthy ads, and that has helped. So we're looking at that similarly. That is something that we're hoping that our children, when they go on, they go on the media, especially local media, that they can relate to. Not related to the You're Sweet Enough campaign is another leg of addressing childhood obesity of Lake Health and Wellbeing. So there's a rollout most recently about eating your fruits and veggies, and that being your snacks. It's snack time. That's what the campaign is called. They've piloted it in the Seventh-day Adventist primary school. So it's a full program about just health literacy for children, and that's important. And then we're going to take that to the media as well. So after that success rate, the next steps, I know there's a team that handles that they would roll that out to general public. But we're looking at educating our children. We think about the media, we're thinking about really large words that they can relate to, not the big words. We're thinking about exciting characters, colorful, dramatic in nature. And then we're thinking about short jingles, and that's what has been incorporated within that campaign. So children, you know, when we listen to TikTok, the songs are in our heads no matter where we go. So something similar for children, almost like, you know, a jingle that they can always sing when they're playing or whatever, that drives home the message. And it's important because there is a childhood obesity challenge throughout the Caribbean, throughout the world. And that's scary because children don't feed themselves as well, right? But children also have a choice, as Latoya would have mentioned, that choice aspect when they buy their snacks, or, you know, when they ask their parents what they want to eat, or when they're pushing away the healthy foods or what's not. So we want to give them that power even as little ones, even as in the primary school level, to really think about my health.
As you said, the children, they really don't play a part in feeding themselves because they don't work. So how do we get the adult to understand? Because most adult will buy the juice, because it all depends on the money you make as well. So we really can't blame them. They'll buy the cheapest juice, and that is the sweetest juice. So how can we speak to the adults so that they can ensure that they don't put this on these kids? Because then maybe they start them from since they're 1 or 2 at home. That's their snack time. And then the kids will continue. How can we advocate with the adults to stop doing this? Look for healthier choices. Latoya?
Well, I'll leave that for Latoya. She's a nutrition guru.
What I think, like you said, children are extremely impressionable. They can also be change agents.
Yes.
Once ago, the trend was where the children tend to listen to the parent. Everything was already parent, but now things are changing where you actually have children who are influencers and they also can influence their parents. They go to the supermarket with their parents, they look to see what's inside of the fridge, they have access to various social media content, and sometimes it's not always negative. So you can have children who actually can assist parents in choosing healthier options when it comes to purchasing food items. For example, it's snack time. You teach the children what is appropriate healthy snacks. You give them the alternatives to the snacks they know already, and then you can have these children being the change agents and going back to their parents and saying, well, mommy, daddy, auntie, grandmother, auntie, whomever, it's more appropriate for me to probably have an apple instead of Cheetos for snacks. It's healthier if I have a boiled egg instead of having let's say a hot dog sausage or Vienna sausage, for example. So you use the children them to get the message across. And the thing about children, especially the younger they are, they like to enforce positivity. Okay, so once you can really give the rationale and show the children this is something positive, you find a way to bring it over to them where they understand and it's something that they want to run with. That's how you can use children. And I think we definitely need to start using children as some of the vessels for health initiatives. You know, as much as some of us, I'm going to say us because we are all adults here, and we are already set, you know, in certain ways. So change is one of the biggest things to bring about. But when you have persons who are still navigating their way of life, children as early as 3, 4, they already know what they like. The palate start adapting. Once you start teaching them certain lifestyle skills, and I say lifestyle because that is what health should be, a lifestyle. Once you start laying that foundation, they are going to go with it because that is what they know. So when we start to use children delivering positive messages, like with it is snack time, then we can help them to then teach their parents on what it is supposed to be.
Can I also share something that we've seen work within one of our sister islands, Jamaica? So, you know, just a few months ago, we had the Jamaica Heart Foundation speaking about their great initiative around healthy lifestyles. And what they've done, they had a campaign about alternative options to eating. So instead of this, we're going to get this. I think that's what parents, when they're thinking about providing for their families and their children, you want to think about. So this is what we love, but what's a healthier option? That's a good question. And sometimes we'd realize that the healthier option is in our garden, or neighbor has it, it's cheaper in the market. It's something that we take for granted. We use it all the time. So we want persons to ask that question, what's a healthy alternative to this option? And if that is a healthy option, great. But if it's not, then how can I be curious about something else and trying it out with the child? Make a game around it, I guess. Like, you know, we're eating oats today, you know, something fun for the children, because you know they love that excitement, those games when it comes to food. I'm not a parent, so I don't know. So, but think about what is a healthier option to what I usually eat, and start there.
All right, so very quickly, we're looking forward to the 60-second reels, focusing on 4 key themes. There's one that stands out to me, and I do need to speak to it directly. The benefits of implementing sugar-sweetened beverage tax. The benefits. What are those benefits? How do you sell it?
You have to watch the reel. that's the question we cover. Okay. But I'll speak on 2.
Yes.
So we have seen that many governments who have implemented these levies, the monies that they have collected, because obviously that money has to go somewhere, they have redirected into public health programs. So they've built programs to keep that health focus going in the community. That is something that we would like to see in St. Kitts, but as Lake Health and Wellbeing, that's outside of our scope. But we've seen that government redirect it into the healthcare system. So that is something that is a benefit, because the money goes back into health. And that's something that persons want to know, where would the money go, right? And that is something that when, I guess, it's rolled out and implemented, that's a good question to ask as well. When it's concrete, where would the money go as well? And then we've also seen just the uptick in persons buying more healthier options, because it's expensive to buy the unhealthy options. So we've seen that it has driven positive behaviors. So we're hoping for a similar outcome here on St. Kitts. You know, we're a bit tough in St. Kitts, but we're hoping for, over time, a similar uptick. And then we've also seen that it has educated persons. A lot of us, we learn about health when we're sick, when we have to. We only care about health when it impacts us. So it really continues the education message about taking full ownership of your own health. It's not just the government's responsibility, the civil society's responsibility, like Lake Health and Wellbeing. It's also my responsibility. So those are 3 of the benefits I've given you, but you have to watch the video because we're going to bring it on in a nice, creative way.
Yes, nice. And even additionally, to add to that, St. Kitts and Nevis Public Health is one of our major platforms in which we try to push to keep our population healthy. Unfortunately, the Ministry of Health or the health system, it's not a revenue generating ministry or organization. However, we still have to keep our population healthy.
Yes.
So we still have to ensure that we have certain services, we have certain resources, we have certain infrastructure, and we don't generate the income for that. So one of the ways the policy will help directly with that is if we have a healthier population. If we have a healthier population, people consuming less sugar, then the burden of having to buy medication for the public, building additional health facilities, providing additional services and resources to assist persons who have to manage these conditions, it would reduce significantly. Hence, the payment for those that the government have to be responsible for will also reduce.
Okay, now I get the excitement. I understand it a little more in tangible terms. All right, so the videos, when and where will they be released? Because you're telling me I have to wait until...
Okay, so it's 4. We've launched the first one. It's on our social media, Lake Health and Wellbeing. Follow us on social media. We always say that. And then you'd see a link to our website. There's a blog post about it for those who love the words. And so it's also going to be on our YouTube pages. So you can view it. It's literally 60 seconds, 90 seconds the most, but it's under 2 minutes, right? So quick and easy. And you can go back and replay it. You can share it. And we want those comments. We want your engagement, because we want to know, did it land? Do you understand? Do you have questions? That is something that we can build on. So we're encouraging persons. The next one is going to come out next week. The first one came out this week. Next week, there's another one. And then every week following, we're going to have a new reel addressing each question, the challenge, the benefit, the response of the general public, and why now? Why are we speaking about this now? 4 major questions around health policies.